this is Anthony with RevZilla. We watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new Alpinestars SMX V2 boot, available at RevZilla.com. New for the spring of 17, this is the SMX V2. This is the next iteration from Alpinestars. In my opinion, one of their mid-range to higher-end everyday sport riding boots that also happens to be an entry-level track boot. I do not recommend you take an SMX5 to the track. I do recommend that if you're just starting out for track day riding and you want to spend less than $300, the SMX6 to get to the track is rock solid. You'd step up from there to something like an SMX Plus. Now, if we look at it, I got boots and boots and boots and boots, and that's because there's a few different versions of the new SMX6 V2. I have the standard version in my hand. Actually, this is the DryStar version, which is going to be about 30 bucks more, coming in around $300. So there's a standard, a DryStar, which is waterproof. There's a Stella SMX6 V2, which gets a different ladies ergonomic scheme. And then you're also going to have your vented version. You can see it in perforation on my left. So again, all things considered, you're still getting the full range of regular, waterproof, ladies, as well as vented. And again, in multiple flavors there for the SMX6 V2. But here are the key changes before we dive into the nuance of the boot. Three key changes are going to jump out at you, and they're iterations, but they're steps forward in my opinion. And the nice part about it is the price did not change. So first we're going to look at it, and I have my old version here. Don't boo for it. It was great while it lasted. This is the new version in my left hand. Notice on the top of the instep, the elasticated panels, much like the new SMX Pluses, and again, the higher end Alpinestars boots, the elasticated panels go down a little bit further here on top of this microfiber. So what it allows you to do is be a little bit more flexible, especially noticeable if you're walking around in the boot, but just aiding to the comfort factor of the boot. The next big change they made was from a tactile response and feel standpoint on the bike itself. And if we look at the bottom, we see very, very simple, almost entry-level sole on the previous version of the SMX6. Here on the SMX6 V2, now I have an updated sole from Alpinestars with different types of treads in different types of areas. So you'll see for walking around on the toe, on the heel, here where your foot peg would integrate, where you might get some feel. And in my opinion, a lot of guys like myself are going to ride a little bit more on the ball of the foot, but you're just going to have a different profile of tactile response here with the more upgraded, aggressive, more race-inspired sole. The next thing, and again, I want you to have one more shot of these bad boys together because really not a lot changes here. There is one thing that's a bit more cosmetic. You'll see the red here along the back. They've changed the way that this TPU that goes across the back of the Achilles is reinforced. Different here on the previous version. I'm going to get rid of the first version here. So SMX6 original version, you've served us well. I won't miss you. Now, if we look at the V2, I'm going to open it up here on the medial side. Man, that made a lot of noise. If we open it up here, what I'm going to show you is that on a previous version, you did not have this pocket. You did not have this hard protector. On the medial side, from an ankle protection standpoint, you now have a full hard TPU that's going to be embedded. Thumbs up. That is what we like to see. We like to see hard part protection on the lateral side, in the heel, in the toe, and certainly on the medial side here in the ankle as well. So again, three big upgrades from a functional standpoint: flexibility, tactile response, and protection. One from a design standpoint with the accent colors. So all in iteration forward here on a classic microfiber boot under the $300 mark. Now, when we talk about fitment, no issues there. Classic Alpinestars fit, a little bit of adjustability inside the boot where you're going to have the circumference here on this ergonomic piece at the top. Like I said before, on the ladies version, the footbed's different, the ankle's different, and again, different circumference and shape around the calf. But really, you know what to expect. Use the size chart. We'll ship for free over 39 bucks. But I really love it. If you click our logo, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel, leave me your comments, your questions, your feedback on the Alpinestars SMX6 V2. We should just call it the Deuce, but then they get mad at me, and merchandising and Italy would get mad at me. So we won't call it that. We'll just call it V2. Now, if we go into some of the other nuance of the boot here, let's start from the front and work our way back. Notice the sole comes up with this nice big heel, or this toe counter here, and again, it's going to keep things from splitting over time. You have your replaceable dual compound slider, which existed on the previous version. It is a microfiber boot, which is synthetic leather. It's strong. There are no imperfections. Again, it's going to be lighter weight because it's not real leather. That is not a gripe. So when you hear us talk about microfiber in boots, that's very different than when you see pleather in sheep gloves. I don't don't like pleather, but microfiber is just fine for me. As you move back, you see on the left side here, on the lateral side of the boot, a multi-link suspension, again, aiding in completing the range of motion, so guarding against hyperextension, hyperflexion, but also kind of mitigating some of the torsional forces that might be introduced in the crash. Again, we see it on the outside. It's also a hard part, so it's going to aid in the slide factor. Moving into the heel counter and the heel cockpit here. Notice it's a full TPU that works its way around. Now, this is the DryStar version, meaning there's going to be a DryStar liner up to about here, which is waterproof and breathable. If this was the vented version, this yellow version on the side, these vents are actually going to be vented to the boot itself. So the vented version gets perf leather. It also gets ventilation here in the heel. Now, if I work my way around, you'll see nice big heel cockpit as well as the heel counter come up here in the back. And then moving to the inside, again, you have the matte, you have the gloss, dual recess stitching, keeping everything together. Again, it's a very well executed boot. We look at the back here, there's that heel counter I was talking about. Again, just keeping everything where it's supposed to be. Now, working your way up the Achilles, you're going to see back of the foot, elasticated panel. Achilles is going to have this bridge here, which again also has this high point of TPR, which is a bit of a slider. You're gonna see that's gonna keep things raised and allow it to scoot. Typically, when you're on the racetrack and you have it off, you're gonna wanna get on your back and slide without tumbling as fast as you can. And again, the heel is going to come into play, and also the top of the calf here at the Achilles, again, is going to be another touch point. Now, if we look on the inside, notice big TPR pull there. You do have your YKK zip that does have a Velcro tab here to keep it in place, and we already opened it up. Notice also the stretch panel in there. The previous versions, the early versions of these boots didn't have that stretch panel, and depending on the width of your foot, the width of your ankle, and the thickness of your sock, they can be harder to get in and out of. Again, creature comforts, keeping everything where it's supposed to be, but also allowing it to more seamlessly get on and off. And I'll show you this big gator on the inside. That's your waterproofing, because remember, this is the DryStar version. On the other models, they're not going to have that waterproof panel that comes all the way up that's as thick as this. When you look at the inside, it's going to be that air mesh, which has a dense foam to it. It's going to be very comfortable against your skin or against your sock, and then it becomes even a little bit of a lighter weave as you work your way down into the boot itself. Again, absorbing sweat, wicking things away, and certainly here on the DryStar version, if you start to sweat and your boot is wet, it's going to allow a better chance of that sweat to evaporate out without the water from getting in. So all in, the last thing I didn't talk about is a staple in race boots. It's Shin Protection, massive TPU, hard part on the front, integrating at the top of that newly extended elasticated panel. But you can tell that I'm excited. You can hear it in my voice. I like the V2 factor here on the SMX 6. It's all the things we thought about on the first version of the SMX 6 that surely Alpinestars listened to their customer feedback, continued in their testing, and then made an iteratively better boot, all in without changing the price. That's what we like to see. Hold that price, hold the line with giving a rider a better upgrade, a better performing boot to last even longer and protect them better. Now, the next step in your journey is to click the info button on your desktop or mobile device. Visit the product detail page at RevZilla.com. Read rider reviews. You should not just take my word for it. And remember, there's the SMX 6, the vented version, the waterproof version. There's also the Stella version, which is, ladies, it's going to be on a different page, ladies, if you're thinking about that. But again, identical boot, identical materials. Keep in mind as well, we're going to ship free over $39. If you want to talk to a gear geek, see us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown. Remember, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with our opinion, the latest and greatest in the moto universe. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.